There's a difference between being honest and being exposed. And in the early stages of dating, too many men confuse transparency with trust, so they end up dumping financial details in an attempt to signal stability, status, or their own importance. But in reality, when oversharing about income, debt, investments, or lifestyle habits too soon, that's not necessarily building communication. Instead, what it does is it surrenders authority. And once that's gone, you don't get to take it back. Hey, I'm Todd, and thanks for stopping by. I'm a researcher, a psychologist, and I wanted to take a moment to talk about something that a lot of men misplay when they're dating. And that's how much financial information they give early on. According to privacy management research, once you disclose personal information, especially about money, you've handed her a kind of power that makes it really hard to take back. In this video, we're going to look at why smart men wait and how saying less about your finances early on protects your values and your respect. So let's talk about guarding your boundaries. The psychological context of this dynamic is communication privacy management theory, which informs us that private information operates within boundaries that we set and regulate. So the moment you disclose something is loaded as finances, it becomes co-owned information in that relationship. That means that she now holds your private data, and with it, the ability to use that information to shape expectations, evaluate your worth, or to outright manipulate the direction of the relationship. It's not a question of whether or not she's a good person or if she's trustworthy. It's about strategy, control, and timing. Think of it like this. You wouldn't give your car keys to a stranger just because they smiled at you. No, people would have to earn your complete trust first. So give a lot of consideration before handing over access to your financial interior just because a woman shared something about her student loans, maybe how much she spent on her last vacation, or other details. Her openness is not a command for you to do the same, and many times it's a test to get you talking. So keep in mind that her sharing is your intel, not an invitation. That's the trap that many men fall into, and many times it's baited with the illusion of emotional reciprocity. She starts talking about maybe her 401k, maybe her credit card debt, or her life savings goals, and you assume that the right thing to do is to meet her halfway. But that instinct is wrong and nearly always backfires, especially in today's culture of transactional relationships. Her vulnerability doesn't require yours in return. If she's offering you a look into her financial information, take that as a gift of information and keep your mouth shut. If she's willing to share her own finances, just sit back and take note. Ask yourself questions like, how does she talk about money? Does she seem grounded and responsible, or is she impulsive and entitled? Those are your opportunities to observe, not to audition for her. Research in relationship development warns about the risks of premature intimacy, and not just the sexual type, especially when the content of disclosure involves power-laden information like finances. When you open that vault too early, you invite imbalance, because now she's building expectations about what your life together should look like before having even earned the right to be there. Once she knows about things like your earning potential, the game shifts, often dramatically. Maybe she no longer wants to drive her Hyundai because she knows you can afford something better. Maybe she starts asking less about your values and more about your vacation plans. Many times this happens overtly, although it can be done quietly, even subconsciously. But either way, the moment you expose your financial ceiling, she starts constructing a spending floor for her own lifestyle. And if that expectation forms before trust and emotional investment are solidified, you've transformed from a man to means. And this is why your silence in those situations is not just a restraint. It's a good strategy. What do you do when she pushes for information about your earnings or your spending or your financial goals? Because she will. If a woman is interested in your lifestyle, your potential earning, your financial goals, then she's going to dig. She might do it gently through jokes or curiosity, or she might outright press harder, asking direct questions about salary, debt, assets, maybe property that you own. And I want you to hear this. You do not owe her answers. Instead, calmly and confidently say something like, I take my financial privacy seriously, and I tend to share more once trust is established. If she respects that, then she's showing maturity. But if she gets irritated, if she pushes harder, or if she uses emotional pressure to guilt you into more disclosure, then you've got your answer, and it's not a good one. The women who get upset when you won't share early are not necessarily angry about the boundary itself. They're frustrated because they haven't gained the leverage that they were fishing for. One of the lesser known side effects of financial oversharing is that it also messes with emotional polarity. When you lead with your resources, she stops responding to your energy and your personality. Instead, she begins responding to your provisioning, what you can do for her, rather than who you are when you're with her. And the relationship becomes transactional, even if it's shrouded in romance. Once that polarity shifts, it's almost always impossible to get back. You'll start to notice that you're planning every dinner, you're paying for every trip, and filling up her gas tank because you gave her reason to expect that it's your role to do so. If you're still interested in being with her, but you feel the need to reset the tone, tell her something like, you've tried to steer the conversation toward my finances multiple times before trust was earned, and that's not okay with me. If you keep pushing for that level of access before it's appropriate, I'll assume that you're more interested in my wallet than in the relationship itself. But if the pattern continues, or it gets worse, maybe she uses early emotional vulnerability to manipulate you into financial disclosure, then it's simply time to walk away. Tell her, you know what? You used your own disclosure or manipulation to dig into my finances way too early, and I'm not going to keep entertaining someone who plays that kind of game. I wish you the best. And let her go. Men who lead don't need to advertise what's in their account. They know their value is not in the numbers, but in their own discipline. So remember, your ability to withhold information until it's earned is a show of self-control, not scarcity or not secrecy. It means you regulate the flow of intimacy and access. Because the truth is that when a woman opens up early, it's either signaling trust or she's trying to force yours. And your job is to know the difference. So the next time a woman you meet brings up finances on date 3, just sip your coffee, tilt your head slightly, and listen. She's showing her cards, but you don't have to show yours. Not yet. Not until you know that she's there for you and not your wallet. And until then, talk less and listen more. So let me know your thoughts about sharing financial information in the dating pool. When is a good time for those disclosures? For more information, more resources, check the links and my contacts in the video description, and I hope to see you next time.